Welcome back to the channel here, Joey Only Caribbean Weather Dude YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm going to try my best to be somewhat enthusiastic for you. I feel like the channel's dying. I'm losing subscribers. I'm not getting views, and I don't know what to do anymore. And I'm starting to look for real jobs. So putting that out there, please like, share, subscribe, become a channel member if you want to support the survival of this channel. It's in doubt. Okay, so we got a major storm coming to the BC coast. Exciting, very exciting. Going to be a lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of the same old things. I'll tell you the details, who gets the snow, who gets the what, who gets this, or that. Meanwhile, it's a crazy warm and everywhere in Canada but here. Like, the records are being smashed across the board. We'll have a look at that too. And it's easy to sit here in Wells right now where it's 8.9 degrees Celsius and think that the whole world is terrible. Well, it is. But it's easy to think that the whole world's cold. I mean, but no, if you go everywhere else in Canada, it's kind of like how it was through the first half of the summer, where it just wasn't nice here at all, but everywhere else it was super warm. And then people in BC are like, well, what about your climate change now? I'm like, there's smashing records everywhere but here. Anyways, I shouldn't have said climate change. I'm going to lose another subscriber. Whatever. Screw yous. There it is.
This is bad news. My God. Anything can happen. Get on! Wow.
I'll watch the video later. Hey, try mopping this.
Here's my janky satellite image today, which is just like grinding and it's actually really hard for me to tell you anything about what's going on here because it's so bizarre. But hey, look, you can see in a big low pressure system. This is not buried up along the Alaska coast like the last bunch have been. Like, we've had the pattern kind of sit up there a lot this last year and some. This is down lower off the coast. This means we're going to have more impacts into southern British Columbia than we've had before. The storm so far this year. It means a bit of rain is going to come to the Peachland area, for example, where there's still some air quality advisories in southern British Columbia because there's still some smoke. I can't handle any more of that janky map. It's going to give me a fucking seizure. So let's move on to that. I'm not even epileptic, but I am now because of that map. So here's our big long low, 979 central low pressure. That's impressive there. Definitely impressive. And we have the chance of some thunderstorms in the bands out in front. Could even see a little bit of a thunderstorm there in eastern BC. A bit of a cold front there sliding through southeastern British Columbia. Meanwhile, it's actually the nicest weather we've had in a little while here in Wells. We got a stationary high and stationary low in the center of the province, but our larger low is going to press up against them and going to turn all our weather to horse shit. So that's what we get. Horse shit. That's what BC deserves, I think. Yeah. Give the bad weather. Here it comes. So it's not coming today. No, this is going to turn off the coast here. Look at that. Deepening down to 976, we're saying. 976 central low pressure is pretty good. Occasional towering cumulus. Could you see some thunderstorm on the coast? Yeah, a couple flashes of lightning here and there. Would not be out of the question. Not be out of the question. Looks like a little bit of a smoke thing going on up there. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure what that is. And then again, that cold front really hasn't moved much through the day. Mostly clear in the center of BC. You're seeing that even dropping down 975, 976, 978. That's a very strong central low pressure in that storm. And you can see it's going to start bumping its way in. And it's got a bit of a warm front. So as it turns counterclockwise, it should deliver some warmer weather into British Columbia. We'll have a deeper look at this in a few minutes. Boy, could I have any luck finding like a satellite image that isn't janky? Well, here's one from Navigation Canada. This is a map that's fucking sideways. Significant weather across Canada, like go to the right of BC and none. It's very quiet out there. There's very little. There's some isolated cumulonimbus possible in Western Ontario. They had some thunderstorms in Manitoba last night. Woohoo! I mean, if someone wants to make my crappy day, I would love a subscription to Pivotal Weather. There's functions and features on here that I can't afford to use. I would love to have just to better my weather empire. Well, why am I dreaming about that, Joey? You're talking about closing shop down. Now you're like, somebody give me more weather stuff. That just shows you how much I really want this. I really want it. I really want it to succeed. I've been over a year just full time trying to do this. and it's just not working as fast as I needed. Okay, so here we got two shit storms over here off the East Coast. One of them is Hurricane Humberto. One is probably going to be Hurricane Imelda if it isn't already. And what are they going to do? They're going to bugger off basically towards Bermuda. So like basically everyone's celebrating. They're like, yeah, it's not going to the coast. And people in Bermuda are like, hey, what about us? And everyone's like, who cares? It's not coming to North America. That's what's going on. So here's our big, crazy-looking low. As you can see, more southern location than it has been for our last bunch of storms, 976. Oh, so she gets down pretty low. Look at the backside. The winds on the backside here. That is a fully developed angry storm, and it's going to really make its presence felt on Wednesday. Wednesday's the day it's going to slam in. So we don't have much for any statements or warnings or things like that yet on the board. That might come later today. That might come tonight. It might come tomorrow morning. Whatever Environment Canada's thinking on that is, I don't know. Crazy high pressure, eastern half the country, very nice. Western half, not bad actually until you get to BC. They've had lots of warm weather in the prairies. It's been warm everywhere but here. It's back to our spring pattern. There's our storms going harmlessly off on the coast there, saying we don't intend to bother anybody there. Best case scenario, Bermuda probably destroyed. Maybe not. I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, big one. And then look at this. It's going to make it a brand new major low, major mid-latitude cyclone. Those two hurricanes. That's the GFS modeling saying they're going to make two storms coming into one major mid-latitude cyclone, but then it doesn't come to land either. Nothing happens. Oh, whoa, what's this on the prairies? So, this crappy weather we just had in BC going to make its way across, going to reform itself into the prairies, get this low forming right there. Boof. Maybe some more severe storms and whatnot. On the backside, though, of this, it's going to bring the temperature right down. So as you come into the weekend, prairie is going to be quite cold in the backside of that low as it's ushering in the crappy weather. I got a cat that won't stop meowing, and it's really hard to forecast when it's meowing, and meowing. And I want to give you attention and acknowledge your existence, cat. Topic 1, wind gusts. Lots of big wind gusts there. So this thing's hanging off there off the coast. Going to see winds there later in the afternoon up to 100 kilometers an hour. Gusting. That's gusting on Tuesday afternoon off the coast. So anybody who's going off that tip of northern Vancouver Island, you're in for a shock. I wonder what the winds are like out there already today. I bet you pretty good. Well, we got a 65 pushing 83. That's already on the board measured. So somebody's reported in a boat or something like that some pretty intense winds. As you can see overnight now, that's going to drive up that BC coast, going to go up the Strait of Georgia, going to see those winds really pick up in between, going to see some of the winds pick up on the mountaintops and the coast mountains. Here's our low, really, really strong. It'll be delivering all kinds of rain, crap, anger, snow to the high mountains. Going to see a little bit of precipitation dive on into BC. Thunderstorms in northern Saskatchewan tonight. Is that right? That's wild. Okay. And then here comes back to our wind here. Just going to have a look at wind first, then we'll go back and look at precipitation. Boom. Windy in southern BC on Wednesday afternoon. Going to see some strong winds. Could see some power outages. Could see some branches falling onto power lines and things like that. Here's our storm. It's really lost some of its gumption, but still it hangs off the coast there and continues to drive for a number of days. Moisture, wind, crap inside. Now you can see it sputtering out. But even then, Thursday evening into Friday, northern BC seeing wind. Well, we have another story kind of working its way up there. So later in the week, you're going to see some stronger winds in northern BC. Boom, look at that. There we go. Those are pretty solid. Piece. Looking at gusts of 67 kilometers an hour. That's gusts, of course, not steady winds, but that still gives you a bit of an idea on where we're heading. So let's go back and look at precip now and see if we can figure out what this monster is going to do. So by the time we come to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll have seen those winds pick up. We'll have seen that rainfall pick up. Heavy rain battering up and along the coast there. As you can see, really well spread out up and even down into the U.S. there. Going to see some of that heavy rainfall. A little bit of snow flurries in the Coast Mountains, sure, but we're talking mostly a rain event overnight. Vancouver sitting at 12 degrees, Kamloops at 12, Kelowna 14 through most of the night. Man, a little bit of flurries. You can see some of that rainfall north of Burns Lake, Tackle Landing, north of Fort St. James, so a little bit of rainfall there for you. Watch this mid-latitude cyclone here start to make its way on Wednesday. It's taking its time, though, right? It's taking its time. It's not really allowed to come inland. It's not really able to break past this sort of ridge that's here. So it's trying, and it's delivering some warm weather, like Kelowna seeing maybe 20 degrees Celsius on Wednesday afternoon. Those are pretty warm temperatures still. Seeing a good band of rainfall, maybe some snow in the high mountains around Revelstoke, up at the Columbias. And there we go. It just sits there in one place, more or less just driving rain. So I would think that soon we're going to see some special weather statements or some rainfall warnings or something like that on this guy. We're going to see something, I would think, from Environment Canada soon on this because winds will be picking up. So, wind warnings, sure. Rainfall warning, possible. So it's battering the coast very, very well. But it's not making its way inland at all, really. So as you can see, again, we're watching it die off, more or less, putting some showers into the central interior, but this is really a coastal event. It's really a southwestern BC event. Going to be a strong event. Going to see some possible power outages and things like that. Don't be surprised at all. Thursday, maybe even a few flashes of lightning down southern BC, maybe a few flashes of lightning in the Caribou. Could you imagine that? I'll lose my mind if I see even a bolt of lightning. I think it'll be too cold here in the Caribous. You'll probably have to go to Quesnel, central interior, Fraser River sort of area to get any of that benefit. And then boom, here's that next guy up north. North BC, going to see some snowfall Friday morning. Into the Yukon, snowfall up there. The Alaska coast taking a good amount of rainfall from this tail that's kind of still dragging on out. So that's more or less where we're going for the next bunch of days as we come into the weekend. Okay, finally we got a satellite image that's not being janky. Every satellite image I've tried to play today is janky. But there you can see our low, and it's just pulling its act together. It's gonna look really pretty on satellite later this afternoon. I'm almost sure of it. It's gonna look very pretty. More or less getting cohesive. You can see the tail end of this low that's up in the north. That's dragging some of this moisture through northern Saskatchewan. It's going to maybe make a few flashes of lightning. Actually, that's Alberta. What am I saying? That's Saskatchewan here. But it could make some lightning up in the Saskatchewan side in the next 24 hours or whatever. That's, no big deal. Nothing's that crazy. As you can see, most of Canada is very nice right now. Very nice, except for our two major storms there. It looks like our one hurricane's lost its mojo. And that's exactly the case, actually. Hurricane Humberto is now weakened to a Category 1 hurricane, while Imelda has increased to a Category 1 hurricane. So this one helped choke this guy off partly, as well as the cold water there, cooler waters as it moves north. And now it's going to tug this guy. They're going to move off, and they're really both, which are two very scary-looking storms there a day or two ago, going to just totally avoid everybody, well, except for Bermuda, except for them. Last word of the day. What did I say? It's been warm everywhere in Canada except British Columbia. So it's easy to kind of forget what the situation here is climatologically. Esther, 31 Celsius. We're talking on the 30th of September, my friends. The 30th of September, we are reporting, actually, it's the 29th, but we're reporting temperatures like 31 Celsius, 25.8 in Sundre, 27.5 in Waterton. It's nuts. These are absolutely nuts. Pretty warm in New Brunswick, 25.5 at the Bay of Fundy. On the Bay of Fundy, there's a lot of summers it doesn't get much warmer than that in the Bay of Fundy. Crazy. Nova Scotia, 25.1 at Halifax. Again, Halifax, it's much like Vancouver. It doesn't get that warm in the summer. It's not like 40 degrees in Halifax or nothing like that. You have the moderating effect of the ocean. Okay, well, just to make it, throw a little more salt on there, DeLine, Northwest Territories, 11.5. Well, that's not that much, Joey. It's the Northwest Territories. So that's hot for Northwest Territories. Nunavut, Kugluktuk, 11.2 in Kugluktuk. It's the friggin' Arctic, people. It's like on the Arctic Ocean. Don't try to tell me that's normal. You're wrong. And, I just lost more subscribers. Whatever. I don't care anymore. And we'll head over to Ontario, back home to Bancroft, Ontario. Yeah, 26.9 is the new record. Just edged out the old one that was set in 1905. They've been keeping records since 1882. Ontario gets pretty warm. So when I see values like this, I'm not so shocked ever. I grew up in Ontario. I know it can be very warm suddenly at weird times of the year. As that warm weather can just kind of pop up from the United States side. In fact, that's, look at 1997, or was it 1998? 1998, we had the ice storm, and it was like, raining and warm in January, and produced an ice storm. Okay, Greater Sudbury, that's pretty far north, 25.4. 25.4. Kirkland Lake, 24.1. Again, Sudbury, 25.4. Terrace Bay, that's on Lake Superior, folks, 21.9. It should be like friggin' smashing. It should be like the Edmund Fitzgerald weather out there right now. Quebec, another province that is pretty far south, actually, by comparison, and it's interior. Quebec can be warm suddenly out of the blue sometimes in shocking ways. Gatineau 27.6. So I'm less blown away by these than I am some of those other ones, like Northwest Territories. But hey, still breaking records in Ontario and still breaking records in Quebec at L'Assomption 26.3. This is crazy, folks. So basically, everybody in Canada has it better than I do in Wells. Yeah, everybody's got warmer weather. Holy cow! I can see like 20 feet worth of blue, a gap in the clouds. You can see blue behind it. You can actually tell for a second that the sky is blue beyond the clouds in Wells. We've barely seen the sun in like 2 weeks here almost, man. It's been really garbagey ever since the weather just turned. It turned hard, and now I'm going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs for 6 months. I need the channel to be more successful. Bye now.